That's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
I don't know what happened to my notes, so we're gonna free ball this. But before, I was reading the Tomb Raider comic, the beginning, which kind of sucked, but it took place before the 2013 game. So these are all the comics preceding the 2015 Rise of the Tomb Raider video game, which, listen, I'm not one to freak out over a fictional computer woman, but Rise of Tomb Raider. And I'm not talking about the body proportions, I'm just saying, like, just purely her face. She is gorgeous. I had a Lego Batman moment. You know, it was like, it was crazy. Anyway, I'm playing the game now. It's a good game. I definitely miss, like, Tomb Raider or Uncharted, so it definitely fills that gap. We're not talking about that, though, here. We're talking about this comics that precede it. So I don't remember the arcs right now off the top of my head because I don't have my notes, and I don't know. I was going to transfer it from my phone to physical paper, and something happened, and now it's gone. So I apologize for the roughness of this. But the first comic arc, essentially, it's like a month and a half, like a month and 2 weeks after the events of the 2013 video game. And everyone has a little bit of PTSD after the events of the video game, you know? And there's this notion about, you know, everybody taking a piece of treasure from the island, and all of them are getting messed up from it. All the people survived anyway, like Jacob, or is that his name? The Hawaiian guy, or whatever he's supposed to be. I'm sorry if I'm... Anyway. She goes to the desert to meet up with her friend, and a whole, like, freaking, like, Noah's Ark, like, water starts flooding this dry desert. And so it's the whole thing, and Laura has to go save, you know, her friend. But it all culminates with them basically returning to the island from the video game to basically wrap this up, because a bunch of, like, separate, like, cult gang members are, like, trying to resurrect the bad guy that I'm already forgetting his name, which I thought was really dumb. Doesn't make a lot of sense, because the way the game frames it is the only reason that there's these cultists on the island in the first place is because the bad guy of the video game actually, you know, there wasn't much nuance given to this guy, but it was a little bit more than just pure evil. He essentially, he doesn't outright say so, but he heavily implies that he tried to leave the island several times like we do, and he learned that he couldn't, and the only way he could get off of it is if he did what the island wanted. So which is why he's so heavy into making, you know, Sam becoming this vessel for the deity or whatever, so he could finally escape. Like, that's his whole thing. Like, that's his, like, he's like, you, because it's the Survivor trilogy, right? And Lara's a survivor, and he's like, you think I'm any different? Like, everything I'm doing is for survival. So, you know, even though it wasn't like great character motivation necessarily, you know, it wasn't like a 3D villain, you know, with, you know, with, like, you know, with all these dimensions, it was still something. And so why would these random cult members that never actually went on the island, first off, how do they know about this guy? And why do they want to resurrect him over anything else? It just was so dumb. But basically, that's like the story. And he actually does get brought back for a little bit of time, which is really dumb. And then it's defeated and it's over. It's done with. The whole 2013 game problems are wrapped up. The PTSD, everybody moves forward. And that's essentially that. The following two arcs are where we start getting introduced to Trinity, which is going to be the big bad of the Rise of the Tomb Raider and Shadows of the Tomb Raider, for the prequel era. And I really like the bad guy in this next arc. I forget what it's called, but it's basically Laura goes to Chernobyl, which I thought was kind of cool. A different set. I mean, it's kind of, it's like, how do I do a post-apocalypse setting without it being in the apocalypse? You go to Chernobyl, where everything got irradiated, and so she meets some characters there. The bad guy, and again, I don't have my notes, but he was really cool. I really enjoyed him as a villain. And of course, Laura survives the day. And we get on to the final thing where Laura is supposed to be in a play of Pride and Prejudice. But again, the Trinity people come in and they cause problems and all that stuff. But I thought what was really interesting is there's this guy that notices Lara doing stuff and basically wants her to be his successor, like he disobeys orders, and she's like, "You're crazy," so he lets himself die. It was a whole thing. And one thing I did appreciate, since the trilogy was trying to be a little bit more serious than the original Lara Croft games, is her friends are a little wary of her because they do notice, like, basically these guys try to mug her and Sam, or her and somebody else. I forget if it was her and Sam, but she like actively wants them to engage. Like, it's not even just like, oh, if I need to defend my friend, I would defend my friend and myself from these creeps, from these weirdos. But it's like she wants the confrontation. Like, she likes hurting other people, and it's something which it's nice because when you play Uncharted, it isn't until Uncharted 4 where they delve at all into the fact that like Nathan Drake is like a mass murderer. And even Uncharted 4, they don't really address it. But, like, yeah, in all 4 games of Uncharted, I mean, Nathan Drake has killed tons of people and seems to enjoy it. And we don't address that? Same thing with Indiana Jones. I mean, bro kills a lot of people and is just fine. I mean, on his end at least, those are mostly Nazis and weird cult members in India. But Nathan Drake, I mean, sure, they also want the treasure or whatever, but they're essentially just mercenaries getting paid to do a job. And, some of these characters are more morally bad than others just to make you feel less bad about it. But at the end of the day, these people are ultimately of equal worth in terms of their goal as you, which is to acquire the treasure. So, it was just cool that this comic addressed the fact that, yeah, she's a little bloodthirsty, and that's not great. But yeah, it basically all just leads up to the fact that Trinity is going to be the big bad of the series moving forward. And that's ultimately it. Again, are these comics necessary to understand any of the video games? Absolutely not. These are so superfluous to the overall plot that you can just skip them. But if you like Lara Croft as a character and you wanted more stories with her, these are perfectly inoffensive. I don't think they really add anything to the world that much, nor do I think they really detract. This is the problem with tie-in fiction, if you're not going to actually make it meaningful, is the fact that you cannot do anything of substance. And some people say they prefer that, like, all the important stuff should happen in video games. But then why ever buy extra material if it's not going to matter, emotionally or otherwise? That's again, I'll say it again, my channel started with the Star Wars Expanded Universe. That's the one time tie-in fiction could actually be something. Because George Lucas made his 6 movies and it was over, it was done, nothing else, before Disney bought the rights. Right? So in the Expanded Universe, you could actually tell stories that would further the story, or further a character's arc, or further this, or further that, because you didn't have to be beholden to this future continuity of a future story, because you were the future story. Your stories were. And so I do think it's a little annoying, because I would like to see, something of substance. Like I said, there's a little search for it, like with Lara clearly enjoying violence. Will that come to fruition in the video games? I don't know, but it's cool that they at least acknowledge it. And I did enjoy the introduction to Trinity. So that's all cool, but I just wish for more. But I'm never going to get that with tie-in fiction that isn't Star Wars, because every other tie-in fiction is not allowed to be anything good. And I'll say it again, like for Halo, the only good things, like truly good things in there, is the Forerunner Trilogy Big Great Bear, and the anthology short story books. Like, that's it. Everything else is okay. Anyway, I did have fun with it. I know it kind of sounded like negative toward the end, but it's just because, it's really inoffensive. Like, it's so unnecessary to read. You know, so it's almost like I wasted my time. Same time, I had fun with it. But there's nothing here I'll remember in like 6 months. It will be gone. It's like candy. It just doesn't matter. And that sucks. Because I really like the 2013 video game, and I really like the old games from memory. I haven't played them a long time, but I remember playing the original Tomb Raider when I was a child. And I would love to be invested. I remember watching the Tomb Raider movies. I know they weren't fantastic, but I remember loving those. And I would love to actually genuinely, emotionally care about this character. Because, you know, people always talk about woman power and woman empowerment and stuff. Well, here's a female, like an original female character. Let me get invested. Let me care. You know, don't just save it for the video games. Because when was the last video game we got? Like 2018, 2019? And we're only now, in 2026, getting a remake of the first game, which we already had a remake of in the early 2000s. And then in 2027, getting like officially like a new game. But even still, like, you know how you save that in between? You do these extended stories. I know we got the Netflix show or like a little series we got, which is cool, and I'll probably review that because I like this character. I love the archetype of like the Indiana Jones and the Nathan. I love the treasure hunter with a heart of gold that's trying to do the right thing, and I've loved it since I watched Indiana Jones. I used to have a fedora. I used to have a fake whip that I got from, I mean, it was kind of like a dog toy where like the whip wasn't actually hard because, of course, if a child had access to that, they would be hitting their parents and it would be a whole thing. So, the whip part was very soft. But I remember, I loved Indiana Jones growing up. I remember religiously playing Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga and Lego Indiana Jones. I love those games. And of course Nathan Drake, the Uncharted series, and Tomb Raider. I love the whole trope of that. I love it. So, and I've been really enjoying these games. I mean, they definitely play a lot like Uncharted, and I understand sort of the original fans being upset with that. But that being said, I have a reinvigorated love for the franchise of Tomb Raider, and it's thanks to that game. So I would love to be invested in the expanded material too. So there is some more stuff to read after Rise of Tomb Raider, before Shadow. Maybe I'll appreciate that. Maybe it'll be a little bit of more substance. I don't know. I guess we'll see in all proper notes next time. I promise. But until then, yeah. I mean, if you like Lara Croft, if you like the newer Tomb Raider games, I would recommend them. If you don't like the newer Tomb Raider games, these aren't changing your mind because, like I said, there's nothing of substance. But yeah, so that's overall my thoughts. Till next time.